There have been some good games. Yesterday's game was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Think
was
that,
a good game.
yeah.
I think we're live.
Everybody picked Minnesota. I'm just saying.
I didn't.
Packers with the
I
upset.
didn't. Look, I missed the three prior games I missed. I did not get to watch them. I watched yesterday's game. Now, I'm not saying there's a correlation. What?
I'm gonna start calling you every Sunday and say, "Are you watching this game, Mark?"
I think that it needs to be done, and I think that I finally justified to everyone in my household why I need to watch it. The whole state of Wisconsin, nay, the whole world is relying on me to watch these Packer games.
You don't understand. Awesome. Hey viewers, welcome to episode 81 of WP Roundtable. Today we've got really special stuff on our plate. We're short one panelist. We had some thing happening, but we're going to carry on, persevere, and talk with our very special guest, Mr. Josh Pollock. You want to just say hi real quick?
Hi, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Josh. Josh is an awesome WordPress developer and involved in a couple of his own special ventures that we're going to be talking about. Some of them you may have heard of. A lot of new things. I've just been seeing Josh's name and face pop up all over the WordPress community lately. He's a really, really busy guy and producing more things than I don't think it's normal for a single person to produce. It's kind of concerning, but maybe he'll reveal some of his secrets, or how many slave developers are chained in his closet producing things for him.
I have no secrets.
Well, we'll find out shortly.
Don't listen to this episode. There are no secrets.
What's really odd is that he says that sleep is his superpower. So I don't know how he gets it all done and manages to sleep, which is his superpower.
It doesn't make sense.
There are children in closets programming for him, I'm sure.
Smart children.
Very.
Yeah. All right. So before we start asking questions of Josh, we're gonna give our quick picks of the week. I'll start, I guess, because I have a quick pick of the week. Although it seems like everybody knows about it already. I was really excited to hear about this afternoon and read about it, watch the video, check out the repo. Somebody shared it with me, and I was like, dang, that's legit. That's going to be my pick tonight. And now I go and look, and pretty much everybody's already talking about it. So we're basically automatic released this whole like Calypso thing and open sourced like the new WordPress.com theme, and it's pretty legit. Basically, just I'm going to share a link to the video on this Google Plus event where it walks through the new WordPress.com and to the GitHub repository where the code is open source, and it's pretty sweet. It's really impressive. It's like, I don't know. I won't even describe it. Just check it out yourself. And that's my pick of the week.
My pick of the week is silly. I am a big fan of Christmas.
Me too.
And Christmas is right around the corner. I know we have Thanksgiving to get through first, and I don't want to by any means marginalize Thanksgiving, but there's this like countdown to Christmas plugin that you can put on your website. It's free. It's simple. And I have it up on the thing. And it's christmaswebmaster.com, and I have it on my website, and I have it up there year-round. So, like, the day after Christmas, it's like 365 days till Christmas. So, it's cool.
I love that.
It works.
Yeah. I've got a Christmas plugin on the repo.
Do you? That does exactly that or something similar?
It makes a noise.
No, it does something different. It's called Hello Christmas. You have a quick pick of the week for us, Josh?
So I'm scrambling at Twitter because I didn't know this was a thing. I mean, I did, but I forgot.
So Twitter is Josh's quick pick of the week.
Have you guys heard of this new thing? It's like a micro messaging thing. You could follow your friends and share 140 characters at a time.
I haven't heard of it. Tell us about it.
Is this an investment opportunity?
I mean, yes. Aren't they doing an IPO? Yeah. I mean, I did some things today. Can I use my own, or is that's me?
You can totally pimp your own stuff. We don't care.
Okay. We put out connected Caldera forms. It's like the ultimate multi-part form plugin, so you can connect multiple forms, track partial submissions, and have conditional logic as to which form comes next. based on the input of the last form. People can pick it up when they come before. So we got that wrapped up over the weekend and shipped it out this morning.
Cool.
That's my quick pick.
I've really been hearing some good stuff about Caldera Forms, and
Me too.
yeah. I've had
You've heard some good things, Josh?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I want to learn a lot more about it, and I want to get some time to try it out. So let's move into our questions, shall we? What do you think?
Okay.
All right, there's a lot we want to know, Mr. Pollock. So can we start kind of back a little bit and talk about how you ended up getting a career kind of in the WordPress world? What were you doing before that? How did you make that transition? Why?
Oh, yeah. So this is pretty much the standard story. And I make that joke, but like I feel like new people get like really uncomfortable about the fact that they, have a background in whatever it is they have a background in, not in anything that seems relevant to this. So I like to point out that my random ass story is really kind of typical. So I moved to New York City in 2004 to work in the music industry as a recording engineer, which was fun. Though let me tell you something about 2004, 2005 is that a quarter of the big studios closed because, right, the music industry was losing billions of dollars a year in revenue. So that went okay. I eventually went back to school for environmental studies, and I started doing, like, writing a blog about being a nerd while I was in grad school, and on WordPress.com, and then about, like, oh, I can do this if I go to WordPress. If I do a self-hosted site, I got my little self-hosted site on, like, the old GoDaddy, and, yeah, I got way more into hacking my theme, so I, like, started making themes for stuff. And I wrote my master's thesis on open source solutions for sustainable design. It was looking at the ecological analysis of how this all works and that sort of stuff. And then I ended up working for Pods, randomly outside, replying to random jobs on jobs.wordpress.net. Got a support job working for Pods that turned into community manager and contributing developer, and that's no longer really my thing, but I just, got done with adding REST API support to Pods today. They just merged that in, so I'm still doing that kind of stuff. So I think I have the perfect background for this because I studied complex systems and how to learn stuff. I went to a hippie college, right, for grad school. No grades, no classes, no tests. Totally self-directed, make a plan and deliver on it. And so it was a lot of be self-motivated and also learn something new real quick. And I think that's sort of the perfect background for what I do now.
What college was that?
Goddard College. It's outside of Montpelier, Vermont.
And it's a hippie college.
Right, in Vermont.
In Vermont.
Yes.
Huh.
Bernie Sanders' wife used to be the president. Let's
cool.
keep. It's an awesome place, but it was really undergrad for me the second time through when I was in my mid to late 20s. I was like, can we just not take tests? It's a waste of time. Could we do more work? So it was kind of being in a unstructured, remote graduate program where I was there for a week to make a plan and party and then go back and be on my own, sort of set me up for this, you do your own thing and you get really good at learning things on your own.
So was it in that order, make a plan and party, or was it more?
Well, so there's a 1 week residency there. The beginning of the semester, you go there for a week. And you have workshops and you have make your plan for the week, for the semester type stuff. But you're also in Vermont, in slightly in the woods with other hippies.
That sounds like a missed opportunity for me.
You can go. It's not too late. I'd love to go back to school because school is fun.
It was fun.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
I was actually trying to figure out which came first, the partying or the making the plan. I wasn't sure if it was really in the order that you said.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you do now?
What do I do now?
Your day to day, every day for Josh Pollock. You wake up, put on your pants. Except when you put your pants on, you
Put on formal work pants, which is what I refer to as pajama pants. Like I really enjoy what I do, and the fact that like I have a lot of various answers for what do I do, and one of my more sarcastic ones is sit around and play on the internet all day. And so I really like I do a weird mix of my product stuff and like client work and writing for work and things like that. So there is no normal day, and that's what's really fun about it. I'm a multitasker by design, so I really enjoy the fact that I get away with doing 20 things in a day and 5 of them at a time.
Right.
So yeah, I wake up every afternoon and do something different.
Well, what are your favorite parts?
I really like product design in the sense of like what are we going to build and how are we going to build it. Like I really like rapid prototyping, and I really like, as a PHP developer, I really enjoy the structure of a plugin. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I know that there's a joke like that I'll make, like, oh my god, you'll never believe this, I over-engineered something. That's the potential risk of being into something like that. But I really, really enjoy like the how are we going to put this together? And like, what are our namespaces going to be? How are we going to organize this plugin? What are our objects going to do? What are our dependencies going to be in other objects? Like this sort of thing, for me, like if you tell me I could just like write a new CRUD system, like I'm going to be excited. It's true. Like I want nothing more in the A/B testing plugin that we're working on right now to like throw out the CRUD system and really perfect it, but I can't because it works.
It works. Oh no, that sucks. What?
Well, yeah, but like now that I've worked on it and revised it, like I'd really like to redo like the basic abstract classes and
Huh. All right. Well,
this is what I love about my job.
yeah.
I really like PHP is really neat. I'm starting to come around to JavaScript, but I really like structuring PHP code. Like I know that's weird, but it's really like it's fascinating to me. And like, there's a git command that'll like list off all the number of lines in every file. I can't remember what you do it by Googling on Stack Overflow for how to do that. Like anything else, right? That's how you do it. But like I really like looking at a big plugin and seeing like how small I was able to make my files.
How small? Okay. Is that a significant part of your job?
No, you asked about what I like the most.
Yeah.
Right? Like I spend a significant amount of my job answering support questions and like fixing bugs and stuff on things that already exist.
Yeah, that's the tough part. When you're in charge, when it's your ship that you're driving, I know the same thing. There's all kinds of parts of my job that occasionally I get to do, and gosh, I look forward to those days. And when my wife comes home from work, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to do the coolest thing today. But those are like so rare. The rest of the day, I'm just doing all this bull crap. Running.
Well, I mean, I think I have a pretty efficient system for it, but like the thing is that like there's this weird career arc that I'm in right now of like support guy, developer, entrepreneur, support guy, right? Like because when you start a company, you become the support guy for it.
Right.
And that's good. I think that when you start a company, you should be the support guy in the beginning.
Right.
Because there's no other way that you can find out not just what's wrong with your code, but also like what you didn't do. Right? Like the most useful support request is when somebody asks you how to do this with your product, and your answer has to be honestly you don't, like it can't. Because you start to see patterns in that. You start to see like what people keep asking, how do I do this? And I keep saying you don't. It should do that. Right? Like you can't take one person serious, but like unless they have this really brilliant idea that you didn't see. But I think that, and Mark, I wonder, like you're like the, at least for a lot of time, you've been like the frontline support for ServerPress, right?
Well, I mean, right. All three of us handle support, and granted, Greg does the lion's share of it now, but certainly I go through. We use Help Scout for our support, and I go through our Help Scout tickets about once a week. Sometimes it's once every 2 weeks, depending on how much I travel. And I try to find trends and see kind of what's out there, because, and I'm sure you've discovered this too, Josh, where so much of things that are outside of your control impact what you do. Things like PHP versions that a host might run, or MySQL versions that a host might run, or a piece of software that or a theme that your plugin might need to work within, and all of a sudden it stops working because they did something screwy with the theme or whatever. I mean, we all deal with that, but certainly I go through and I look at our level and look for trends to see if it's just a one-off or if it's something that is going to impact a large number of customers, and then it impacts. And like you said, Kyle, you know, there's these things that we want to be doing, but there's all these other things that impact us from all those little things that we can't control that really kind of sometimes impact our days and what we end up doing, even though it's not what we woke up fully intending to do.
Every day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. I mean, that's fun. Like, I'm not complaining.
No, I agree. I think it is really cool. I think it's fun to sleuth all that stuff out and to come up with solutions, because when you deal with a customer base, you solve the problem for one. You're actually solving the problem for maybe 100 people, or so many people, and you're like, hey, that's really cool. We just solved something for a whole bunch of people, and it's not just, I don't know, I get a bigger rush out of knowing that I impacted a larger number of people than just maybe, one weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So.
Right on. Yeah, it sounds like I was complaining, but I'm really not.
No.
There's certainly parts of our jobs that we all like.
Right.
I wish I could do that a little bit more. That would be so fun.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure we all wake up in the morning and say, this is exactly what I'm going to do today, and this is exactly how it's going, and then we open up our email, and we're like, this is not what I'm going to be doing today, and it looks like it's going to be a week before I get to it,
Yeah.
You know it. Amen, yeah. Brother. Amen.
Yeah.
Testify. So, Josh, tell us about Ingot.
Okay.
Who's it for? Why'd you make it?
Who's it for?
What were you thinking?
What was I thinking? So this is what's wrong with me, is that I wanted to solve a problem of I don't have time for A/B testing, but I know I should do it. And that opens me up to somebody who's correct saying, yeah, but Josh, you spent like 100 hours writing a plugin for what you didn't have time for. Right? But it's for people who need to know they need to test, which is most people. If you're selling something, your goal is to get your message out there. You need data to back up what you're doing, to tell you that this works and this doesn't work, and this works in which context. So that's who it's for. It's for people who are using a WordPress site to sell things and to spread a message. And what it is the no math, no analysis A/B testing tool. Right, so it does a lot of different types of tests, but the easiest one to explain is a button test. Make a call to action button. So you make a call to action button, you tell us what color is it and where does it go, and then you give us 2 or more options, preferably more. So 10 options. Sign up, join us, don't be a moron and not sign up. Join, become a part of this thing, right? All those different options that you think might work. And then it just runs. It starts cycling through them. And every time there's a click, it gathers information about that. Who clicked on it, the IP address, so therefore you know where they're coming from. Were there any UTM tags? So, was it part of one of your campaigns? Where did the traffic come from? Did it come from Twitter? Did it come from Facebook? So that way, over time, we can start to make intelligent choices. Not just knock out the bad ideas, which ones just never work, but also in the future we'll be able to, right, we have a chicken and egg problem. We don't have any data right now. But in the future we'll be able to say, like, oh, it's coming from Twitter, and that tends to do better with this. So it's a pretty neat problem to be playing in for me. Right? There's a lot of analysis, and there's a lot of fun UI work involved. But really, it's designed to be really simple. Like, my demo takes, like, 5 minutes. Because you just kind of create a call to action button. It does other things, right? You can test the color of the button, or you can do arbitrary text, or you can do, like, prices. You can modify the prices, see if you get more sales or less sales when you increase by 150% or decrease by 50%. And work in all sorts of different things. So yeah, it's a really quick demo because you just got to set it up and drop it in. And then you let it run. And I like those kind of tools. Like the idea that technology is here to take a repetitive task that involves a lot of math and just automate it for us.
That's cool.
I'm going to have to check that out. I haven't really looked at that.
It's ingethq.com. Okay. It's in beta. We're hoping to ship another beta that'll actually turn on the price testing in the next day or two. And we hope to be launched by WordCamp US.
Cool. So
if you like email me or DM me or like Twitter at me, I'll send you a demo.
I'll send that.
Or if you're like Mark, and I'll just send it to you because I like bothering Mark. But we're looking for feedback. Like, what else should it test? What doesn't work? These sorts of things. I need to, on my list of things to do tomorrow, is install it on my websites. See what happens.
There you go. Yeah, dog food it.
Yeah.
I was really intrigued when I came across it a few weeks back and watched the demo, and so this is pretty cool. I've checked out a lot of different A/B testing solutions, and everything's quite different. But this seems like pretty special.
How long have you been working on it, Josh?
I don't know. I guess I worked on it a lot in October. So on and off for 2 months, I guess.
Because my next question was going to be, how long have you been working on it, and why have you not ever mentioned to me that you're working on it? Because honestly, this is the first I've heard of it, and that sounds really cool. And I know you need to run everything by me, so.
I should. Mark is a lot smarter than me, and I really should just let Mark make my decisions. I like Mark a lot. And so, yeah, I should just let Mark make my decisions. Though Mark probably would have.
That's a really bad idea, but anyway.
Mark would have told me to focus more. Yeah, we've been working on this for a couple months. It's part of the CalderaWP family of stuff, but it's a different team, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a separate company that's part owned by CalderaWP. Mm-hmm. So there are a couple different people on it. And that's because when you guys are going to get into the question of how do you do all this, which is, like, I just find people to help me. And I like building teams, so this was a fun opportunity to build another team and also to sandbox it a little bit away from David, my partner at CalderaWP, because the last thing that we need there is another thing for him to work on.
So, actually, that kind of brings up an interesting question, which is, how much are you involved in actual project management on all this stuff? Then, if you kind of find the teams and put them together, do you actually do the project management on them, or do you, like, when you put the teams together, you kind of assign a project manager to each thing, or how does that work for you?
I guess I'm the project manager. I'm not sure that CalderaWP is, like, I'm managing it, but, like, so here's the thing that's awesome about David Kramer, is that when I get upset with him that he's not focused, he turns out something really cool instead. So, like, that's my life. Like, we have a plugin that is in a secret beta right now. That's a form analytics plugin. You can go to forum.works. Does your form work? Works with any type of form, not just Caldera forms. Tells you a lot of information about the forms on your site. It's been a private beta, but we haven't wrapped up the last of the issues yet. But use it. Like, it's really valuable. It's running on all my sites. But it's a secret. Don't tell anyone. Forum.works. Did I say that enough times?
Safe with us. We won't tell anyone.
It's a neat form analytics plugin, and I remind myself every time I get, like, annoyed that he's off topic that was one of his, like, off topic adventures, because this plugin is really neat, and the fact that it works with all of the form builders. Did I mention you can use this with Gravity Forms or Ninja Forms? Is really neat. So, what was your question again, Mark?
I forgot.
It was something about project management.
I was wondering if you actually manage projects on this, or if you just kind of like say, okay, I have this real like top level view of what I want. You guys are the guys to do it. Come back to me when you have something, or do you actually like cough cough base camp it all and go through all that brain damage, or what do you do?
It really depends. So, I mean, some of the CalderaWP plugins were my idea, and I sort of directed them and either wrote like an early version or, gave David a really tight idea of it. But a lot of them are just him like, hey, what if we did this? Or like, hey, remember that thing that we screwed up? Like, here's a better... Like, Caldera EasyPods was our first non-Caldera Forms plugin.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this very tight and very, like, well-focused, scoped out, diagrammed, UX, wireframed idea for a plugin that which will never be spoken of again. That was a disaster, and, like, we almost hated each other over. And then he came back to me with EasyPods, which is frighteningly similar, but, like, makes sense and works and solves real problems in pods. And so once he had like a version of that worked, it didn't take us that long of like directed work to get it to version 1. But something like Ingot, that's really like my idea, yeah, I'm pretty tightly managing that, and I'm doing most of the development. Like Roy's working a lot on the UI.
Well,
I do have a tail on this.
Yeah.
I know that A/B testing in concept is a passion of yours anyway, so it's not surprising that you're overseeing it so closely.
Mm.
I would probably imagine that at some point somebody else will be overseeing that. I mean, it's a fun one for me because it's a bit of a role reversal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like with CalderaWP, David is the lead developer.
Mm-hmm.
And he deserves to be. He's way better at this than I do. Yeah. And it's his technology, right? Like every one of our plugins comes from this same plugin generator that's abstracted away from Caldera Forms itself. Like we have a plugin that makes plugins. And so, and he's, even if I started it, still using his generator that he wrote 90% of. And most of the ideas are his or like a play on something he's working on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more of the like bug fixer, public facing guy. And with Ingot, I have marketing and management people, and I sort of get involved with that 30 or 40 minutes a week.
Mm.
And I just get to be the developer and just make the product. And so it's a total. I mean, that's like one of the reasons why Ingot is a thing is I kind of needed that in my life. I needed to have both of those.
Mm.
And also, like, it's a neat idea.
Yeah.
Like, I really believe in it. Like, there are a lot of other ideas that I have that I believe in less that we aren't doing. Like, I'm not just doing it for the sake of doing it, but it was healthy to me, I think, to have this sort of role reversal project going on.
That's cool. It really is. So you've mentioned CalderaWP a lot, but we don't have really any backstory on CalderaWP. Like, how long have you been doing that? Did you start that like post pods, or how have you been doing it a long time?
Came from pods, right? So David Kramer is a contributor to pods. One of these sort of people who came along and went, okay, this is cool, but this part here should be better. And so he did a lot of the templating stuff for pods that got improved over time. And we started working together through that. Like I, took a look at Caldera Forms, which pre-existed me for a while, and said like, oh, I want to use this as the interface for this app I'm working on. And but I didn't want to, like, I didn't want to use any of the processors in Caldera Forms. I just wanted to use this cool like Ajax-y responsive interface that it creates, and then have it like give me all of the data from the form. So he wrote this really quick add-on, which you can get now on WordPress.org, called Run Action, where it's like a DIY form processor. Whatever you put into it, it just fires off an action that you name. It gives you that as an array. So if you're a developer and you already have a place to put your data and your code, but you don't have an interface, this is a really good way to make an interface. And it started as a really simple, 20-line of code type add-on, but that was the first thing that we built for Caldera Forms together. And by we built, I mean I asked him for something and he built it. But I've always really been impressed by his UI. Like I really go to WordPress.org and download Caldera Forms. It's free. And build a form. Like it's really fun the way that it works. Like it's drag and drop, and you do a responsive grid by clicking into the grid and splitting it into half, and then dragging it over so it's 2/3, 1/3. Right? It's neat stuff, and I like WordPress a lot, and I think that WordPress is sort of, in many cases, stuck in the old school PHP web app paradigm of everything's about another page request, and it's fire off some get vars and read those out of init. And this is why this Calypso thing happened that you were talking about at the top, right? That sometimes, the WordPress backend is this weird hybrid of a backbone app and a traditional PHP app. And it was worth it to Automatic just to throw it out and start over, right? That's the thesis there. And so I really liked the kind of stuff David was doing, where it's all Ajax and it's all live, and it's, you're never really needing to refresh the page, and the front end is the same way. So the plugin, which I said I'll never speak of again, he was the one where I was like, hey, what about this? Right, and it was a neat idea, but whatever. Right, I'm really glad it became EasyPods. Yeah, he was the one that I wanted to build that kind of interface, and that sort of led off into the idea why don't we start a company together to sell this type of stuff? And oh yeah, we'll sell a form builder. We have one of those.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Caldera is really your product company with your partner, and you sell plugins.
Yep, that's what we do. We have Caldera Forms is free. It's on WordPress.org. Go and type it into your plugins, the page, try it out. But we have a whole line of add-ons. So if you want to do PayPal or MailChimp or Stripe, you're familiar with this business model. It's called WooCommerce, right?
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of other plugins that do stuff, mainly search plugins. So EasyPods, it's sort of like a mix of faceted search and what Drupal would call views. So you use a visual editor to create a collection, but you can also use a Caldera form to build a search interface. And then we built a version of that called Easy Queries that doesn't require pods. So it's the same sort of tool where you can make okay, well, this is all my, events that are between this date and this category and this, have this custom field, or you could make an event search with it, that sort of thing. And we make an add-on for FacetWP. So we sort of found ourselves into forms, and then this thing that goes really well with it, which is, custom search tools.
That's cool.
That's amazing. So
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Currently, you've got we've talked about this and bounced around on a couple of them, but you've got a lot of things going on. You've got some premium plugins and add-ons for some of those plugins, and add-ons for some of other people's plugins. You've got a course on your site about the REST API, the premium course. You've got an ebook which you put out. You do a lot of blogging. It's really good blogging.
You write.
Thank you.
You do consulting services for clients. So there's a lot to cover here, but I'm curious in having you talk about how you approach pricing, or just maybe more broadly, monetizing all of these things that you feel like putting your hands in.
Man, I wish I was better at that stuff. To be honest, I feel like this is my real weakness, which is fine. Let's discuss it. Let's have a big breakthrough.
There's a lot to it. How did you decide to make your ebook free, and the price tag on your course, and the price tag on your plugins, and the pricing for your consulting?
Man, if only I had a plugin that would help me test and figure out the best way to price all this stuff. But seriously, that's part of why I built this thing, is because I want to run it on CalderaWP, because I think our pricing is bad.
There you go.
That shouldn't discourage you, because I think what I think about it is that it's too low. So go there and buy stuff now before I raise the prices.
Just like every other plugin on the WordPress
Right.
ecosystem. So
Right. I mean, and that's a real struggle, is that you don't want to contribute to that race to the bottom, but you also want to sell stuff, right? And I think that it's really, I don't want to jump on the bash Code Canyon bandwagon, but like, and don't read this because that's not what I'm about to do. But I do product research on Code Canyon, right? This is if you want to know about what sells and what doesn't sell. Mm-hmm. A great tool for doing that product research is Code Canyon. You know, type in a thing that you think might work and see if it's selling anything. There's a plugin for it. You know, and you know, I was doing that the other night, and there's just so much stuff on there for $15. And I'm not knocking that, because those people, that's their choice, and I don't know. I'm not downloading those plugins. Like, I'm not spending the $15. Like, I think I've probably spent a grand total of $50 on Code Canyon in my life. So it's really tricky, and I don't know what the answer is. Like, it would be great if we all just magically got more expensive, but we can't.
Well, I think that one of the issues that you deal with is, we all know that, I mean, the whole idea of plugins, first of all, it's WordPress's probably greatest achievement is that they have this huge repository of plugins, right? But the problem is most of these plugins came out of a need that some developer had somewhere to build something for a client that they had, and so they already made their money on that plugin from that client, and they're like, well, everything else is just going to be gravy, so I'll just put it up on the repository, I'll just throw it up here, and so the price is, you know, low as a result, because that developer is already thinking, I've already made my money off of this anyway, and I already had to develop this thing in the first place, and so that, I think, makes it very difficult for those of you who are like saying, I want to build a plugin and I want to make money off of it, and that's what I want to do with my time, is just build plugins and make money off of it, because you're approaching your plugin development from a completely different angle than probably a large majority of the people who develop plugins that are on the repository or elsewhere, you know. So I think that's probably what you might be fighting.
Yeah, it's really tricky. But also, I mean, look, I'm still in the place in my business where I make more money making plugins for other people, for clients, than I do selling my own plugins, right? Like, I'm very happy about the year I've had in terms of growth. You know, we went from 1,000 some active users of Caldera Forms to 10,000 users. Awesome. We've gotten a lot of sales. Like, I'm very happy about the position I put myself in for 2016 as far as CalderaWP goes. We have not made a killing on it by any means. But I make decent money selling, you know, making a plugin for other people. And that's a weird place to be in, where it's like, these people that I'm fighting really hard to get, you know, $40 out of is a very different relationship than people that I don't try very hard to get thousands of dollars out of.
Right.
Such a funny thing. So many of us in this service space are like chasing this product model. You know, I just want to get in there and start selling my $40 product to thousands of people. When you're right, comparatively, it's like, to get a client to pay a few $1,000 was to make a site for them or a plugin.
Well, also that client has a different relationship with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I'm very selective about who I'll work for, and I make it very clear that I'm only going to work for people who respect me as the expert. You know, in that people that I like want to spend time talking to about.
And those people are very few, right? Few and far between. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't do a ton of client work.
That was a joke, Josh.
You're so funny, Mark.
Mark is funny. But, like, I don't do a ton of client work, and I'm lucky in that sense. Because, like, if you want to ask the same question about pricing in terms of client work, that's an easy answer, right? Because every WordPress developer doesn't charge enough.
Right.
So I can just tell every WordPress developer out there that they don't charge enough without knowing what they charge. And I do all the time. And this goes for me, too. And my pricing strategy is, every time somebody asks me what it's going to cost, I ask for more. than I did last time.
Until people start saying no.
Yeah, no, like that happens, and then I keep asking for the same thing until I get that.
But there is a difference between, like you said, dealing with your clients, which have only hired you, or going to a plugin repository where, oh, I'll try out that plugin, and if I don't like it, then I'll do that one, then I'll do that. All of a sudden, $40 becomes a lot of money to you because you may or may not end up using that plugin. Whereas I've already decided I'm going to use X developer to create this plugin, so I'll pay him a bunch of money because I'm not going to swap him out for another developer. It's not as easy as swapping out a plugin.
Well, also, I think that when you're hiring a developer, and this is a problem when you're doing $500 work, because people are thinking they're getting in for $0, and now they realize they need to spend $500, and then getting to $1,000 is a problem.
Right.
So just don't do $500 work, right?
Right.
But when somebody knows that they're going to spend $5K or $10K or $50K on a website, and that, they're committed to choosing the right people, and they can afford to get the right people, and they're okay with the fact that this takes time and that they're working. They're probably a professional at what they do. This isn't a hobby for them. But with the idea that I'm going to slap together a few plugins and make my website myself, I'm all of a sudden feeding.
Yeah, I'm getting some feedback.
Hello?
That's better.
Okay. So, right, the people who... It is a real gradient. Like, a lot of those people, they went from a free website to, okay, I'm going to spend $50. And now it's like, oh, I'm going to spend another $50.
Right.
And then it becomes $500. It becomes $1,000, and that's a problem.
Right.
Right? Like somebody says to them, hey, go buy ServerPress. It's gonna, it's gonna save you so much time. It's gonna make it better, right? Like you have a good value proposition, and why shouldn't somebody spend $100?
Right.
But then it turns out they also need to spend $50 here and $100 here, and it's like some of us are later in that,
Right.
Like if you're the first product to come along that asks for $50 to save a few hours, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
But once that starts to add up, once you get later on down that line,
right,
it's a real problem for somebody who's looking to spend $0 to $100.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the. Well, it's very similar to, I remember back in the days when Windows was a thing, and Windows NT came out, and then Windows whatever server, blah blah blah. And it was like, well, it's Windows, and so these companies would say, oh, we don't need to hire a network administrator because it's Windows, and they'd go and they'd spend this money on their server, and they'd spend their money on their Windows machine, and then they discovered that they needed a network administrator, and they'd be upset because basically the message that Microsoft put out at the time was, it's easy because it's Windows, you can set up your whole network, you don't need to know Novell, or you don't, you remember the Novell days, or you may not, I don't know. You don't have to know Unix or Linux or anything. You just need to know Windows, and you can set up an enterprise level, whatever, and then and companies, I remember back in the day, were really upset, and I think that that's the same, probably kind of the same issue that WordPress has, is it really does like to push this, oh, well, WordPress is free because it's open source, and open source means free, and so people do get in with that idea of it's going to cost me nothing to put up a website, and then it's like you said.
And also, I think that people, I think it's part of the promise that's made on, oh, Jesus, my phone's ringing. It's part of a promise made on WordPress.org, oh, this is free and this is easy.
Right. Yeah.
And it is, right? But I think that the capabilities and the expectations have outgrown that.
Well, and I think that the message really needs to be, the point of entry is easy and free. That's the point of entry, but that's just the point of entry.
Right, and you can make where that value proposition started with, of you go and make your blog, that's still true.
Right.
You can still get a really nice looking blog up and running.
Right.
With minimal work very quickly. Right. And install it, do the one-click install on your host, choose a theme, set some settings, install Jetpack to get a contact form and stuff like that, and you're done. And so the original thing they're talking about, it's still true. But I think people are doing a lot more complicated stuff, which is great. I love it. I like doing that stuff. I like making tools for them. I like getting hired to solve their problems. But I don't think that the message is continuing to be realistic for the demands that are thrown.
Right. Agreed. But I think
that sucks because
I think that is why you have the challenges that you do with the pricing. It's all those things. I mean, it's and I think everybody has those challenges. It's not just you. You hear everybody talk about it. So at least you have good company.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll figure it out. Like, I don't know. I really like designing products. I'm having fun with it. We'll see if they take off in the way that I think they should. Maybe there's a different business model to be discovered. I don't know. We'll see.
Everything evolves.
Yeah. Does that answer the question? What was the question?
I don't remember the question. We got so way off. Boy. This is almost like when you and I go to dinner. We just get off on these conversations.
Yeah. At least we haven't talked about about football in at least an hour now.
Or politics, which we will avoid as well. other than go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. Yeah. All right.
Is that your political statement of the night?
I will refrain from making political statements.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go talk about.
And you can mark that on the calendar because that's unusual for me.
Oh, there you go. So instead, we are going to transition into a discussion about automatic updates, the customizer, and pieces.
I award you an internet, Kyle.
Oh, okay. Sweet. That's redeemable somewhere. All right. So let's talk about. Well, we're getting close. Time actually flew by really quick, and we didn't touch on a lot of topics that we actually wanted to discuss. But let's move into some of kind of our wrap-up questions. So you like your job, but
yes.
the truth is, you really wish that people would just pay you for.
Oh, honestly, products. I would like to just keep churning out more products and litter the internet with landing pages that have a little CalderaWP logo at the bottom. That's really what I want. And I'm working there. That's what's awesome. Is that I'm in the earlier phases of a journey that's going well so far. It's I can't complain too hard.
That's pretty cool. You've done a lot of speaking at WordCamps. What are some lessons you've learned about putting together a great presentation?
You should probably prepare first. Let me tell you, I learned that the hard way. If anybody was at my WordCamp Miami talk that should never be spoken of again, I gave the same talk on extending the WordPress REST API 3 times, and it got really good by the 3rd time. But I put a lot of effort into it, and so it was good the first time, but it wasn't. You repeat your talks because you can rehearse them as much as you want. There's only one way to really practice, and that's to do it. Just like anything else in life. So I think that repeating talks, I was lucky enough to be at 3 very geographically distinct locations in a relative short period of time, to give the same talk over again and not worry too much about repeating it. So I put a lot of preparation into that, but then I just did it again. Also, I think over the course of this year, I've turned my slides less into what should be my speaker notes and more into useful slides. Right? I feel a lot of my earlier presentations, the slides themselves were these bullet point lists of things that I wanted to talk about. Right? And that annoys me in a talk, and yet I was doing it.
Right. Good stuff. I can't say that I've had an opportunity to sit in one of your presentations because I don't think we've been at a WordCamp together. Well, that's probably not true. We probably have. We just didn't
I've
bump
only been to
into.
like 7 this year.
Yeah, that's probably how many I've been to. Anyway, that aside, no one cares about that. But so uh, I think actually I'm gonna kick back and watch a movie after this. Do you have any cool recommendations for me?
Are you watching Jessica Jones yet?
No.
Seriously, like the problem with what I do is I have to work during, and I can't just drop everything and watch all 13 hours of Jessica Jones on Netflix.
Oh, well, my wife and I are looking for a new show. I'll have to check it out.
Seriously, Mark, are you watching this?
I'm not. I don't. Boy, I feel like I'm left out of the loop here because I've been like so into Phineas and Ferb lately. So I'm kidding about that. But actually, my kids have grown up now. It's Doctor Who. But the point is, I don't. What's this Jessica Jones thing?
So it's on Netflix. It's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay.
But it's not particularly tied. Like there's some talk, like it's in New York, and there's some talks about what happened during the Avengers movie,
Okay.
like as being a thing, and like it being known that there are superheroes in the world.
Uh-huh.
It's like I like Agents of Shield because it's really stupid,
Right.
and I like those
I'm with
movies.
you on that. Yeah.
I like those movies because they're really well done, dumb action films.
Right.
And I'm not saying that to be like snide. Like I get real enjoyment out of them.
Yeah.
I really like them. I like the way that they're put together in this big thing. But they are what they are. There's nothing like we're not.
Right. You're not going to walk out
about
intellectually stimulated and talking about it for hours about the philosophical.
Yeah.
Whatever's interplanetary.
The second. Right. Yeah. But like the second Captain America film, that was a great film. Like totally. For what like. It was a great action film. Jessica Jones is like actually a really good piece of television.
Okay.
It's short on the superpowers. Like she's got some superpowers, and some other people have some superpowers. But it's about somebody who's been through a traumatic event, dealing with it, and having it like the fact that they haven't totally dealt with it come back to bite them in the ass when it comes back and happens again. You know. And like it's really well done. It's well acted. And you know,
yeah,
like
I'm looking for something to watch during those hours that the baby is not sleeping, so that works out really well. Along those same lines, I watched the Daredevil on Netflix, which is also a good series. Have you watched that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's not bad. It's not the
yeah,
movie,
that's what everybody said.
Not the Ben Affleck movie, but the actual series that they created is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So let's look ahead real quick to your calendar, Josh. If anybody was like, "Oh, next time I can't wait till the next time I get a chance to bump into Josh Pollock and high five him, and you know, and get a demo of CalderaWP and Ingot, all those things." What on your calendar is an opportunity somebody might see you in person?
Okay, well, Thanksgiving at my brother's house on Thursday. If you're in Brooklyn, stop by.
Sure.
No, I'm in New York City from Wednesday until I leave for WordCamp US. So if anybody's around, seriously, hit me up on Twitter. I'm in New York for a week. And if you need somewhere to go for dinner, and you don't mind eating tofu, let me know.
That last part.
Right. So that's good for me. Like I'm a vegetarian, but yeah, my brother is as well. So following Thanksgiving, I'm going to WordCamp US. If you've heard of this event.
Is it a big WordCamp?
Yeah, it's gonna. So I'm going to Community Summit and I'm going to WordCamp US. So that's exciting. And then I definitely have WordCamps Miami and Atlanta on my calendar. I don't know what else is coming up.
Okay.
Or if you're in Tallahassee, it's beautiful. If it's cold where you live, come visit North Florida. We'll hang out.
They should have. I understand they're going to be doing a WordCamp Jacksonville before sometime next year sometime.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
so I hear.
Yeah.
Dang. Florida's got all the word games.
I know.
It's crazy. All right. So, getting down to the end here, got one or two more for you. So, who do you recommend as future guests on the show?
Um,
This show.
this show?
Yeah.
I'm ill-prepared. I think some interesting people that I've spoken with recently. I think that one of the talks that I went to at WordCamp Orlando was with Chris Wegman, and I really like Chris. I think he's an interesting guy talking about WordPress products. Like, I learned a ton from that. I think, have you had Roy Sivan on yet?
No.
He does a lot of really.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's a really cool guy. He's working with us on Ingot. He's doing a lot of our UI stuff. He's a really interesting front end dev in terms of like using JavaScript MVC frameworks, which we didn't talk about REST API.
Doesn't he do a lot of stuff with or for Disney, or doesn't he have some sort of Disney affiliation?
That is his employer.
Yeah, so that's a minor affiliation. His employer, yeah.
Right. So he's an interesting guy. I like the pods people. I sent them the last podcast I was supposed to be on. I was traveling that day, and so I sent Jim and Scott from Pods in my place. It went really well. There's a lot of neat people out there.
Darn right. And a lot of them are going to be hanging out with next week, so I'm looking forward to that.
Are you booking all of those people next week? Because that's going to be a hell of a show. I'll tune in.
Yeah, let's get everybody together for a group shot.
Well, next week is WordCamp US, or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing a live episode?
We've never done one.
That might be a really bad idea.
Right, but you could have like 1,000 people on your podcast next week.
Not crazy. Sounds like a lot.
I know that you'd have to do it on a different day. Like Monday is not gonna pass over, but like you could do it on like Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
Or we could do it from a community summit and totally, break every rule of the summit by doing a podcast from the community summit.
You can just Periscope it.
I'm sorry, Kyle. Your talk has been revoked.
You've been uninvited, and you are no longer allowed to WordPress.
Oh man. No. I don't know. Well, that might be fun to do something like that. Other people have done such things live at events, and I think it's a cool idea, especially to just get people involved. You got a lot of people there that can just chime in, and it's cool. But
my experience that or my observations have been with people that try to do that is that, especially at the larger WordCamps, they end up failing epically because the bandwidth situation basically sucks. So.
I mean, you can try and do it live.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, I think you should have 1,000 guests next week.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just have a group picture of the people at our Airbnb.
Yeah, there you go.
Which will actually be like 9 people.
Wow.
Sweet. All right. So, Josh, any questions that we didn't get to ask you, or anything that you'd like to share before we, call this a night?
Okay. You can find me on the internet. My website is joshpress.net. And some of the things I'm working on are, write this down, folks, CalderaWP.com, Caldera Forms and other fun stuff, IngotHQ.com, the A/B testing plugin, Word Beta. But if you want to try it out, you can do that. Let me know. Josh412 on Twitter. And the secret thing that I mentioned that you don't tell anybody about is form.works. By the way, .works is a TLD, it turns out. I found this out when I tried to buy formworks.com, and it's like, oh no, that's way cooler. So forum.works is a secret thing that you don't know about, but you should try out and not tell anyone.
Okay.
If you wanted to have like information about how people are using the forms on your website, Like, are they even viewing it? Is it never getting scrolled in? What field are they on when they abandon it, if they abandon it? These sorts of things that could help you increase your conversions. As I said, it's in a beta. It's a secret project. Forum.works, so don't tell anyone.
I think we got it.
It's me. But yeah, CalderaWP.com. It's all there. JoshPress.net. I don't know. Type me into the internet. Things will come up.
And a lot of great articles on Torque Mag. And,
Yep.
And
Yeah,
stuff.
Torque is great. I have fun. They're really good people to write for.
Yeah. They did an interview with me recently. Anyway.
That's an excellent thing that they do, is they interview Kyle.
And they've written about desktop server I don't know how many times, so I can't complain about them either.
Yeah.
So
That's not happening on this show. All right.
what's that?
Complaining.
Huh?
Complaining of any kind.
Oh yeah, no complaining.
Never. All right. It's been a good show. Josh, thanks for appearing on episode 80 bunch at WP Roundtable.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll talk to you next week in person.
All right.